Hi everyone, Jeb here with Earth and Turf. Today we're going to go over the setup of a 65 PT. This is going to be our smaller top dresser that you probably saw online somewhere. It's one of our most popular homeowner top dressers. I'd like to go over the setup of it. You'll need some basic tools. It's pretty straightforward. I'm going to use an impact and a ratchet as well as a 7/16 and 1/2 inch. Same thing with the wrenches here. You can break this up and do a little bit of this, a little bit of that. You could use 2 wrenches or something along those lines. This is just what I have and what I found is most efficient. These are common homeowner parts and tools, so I tried not to use anything. Obviously, we have a whole workshop where we manufacture these things, but I tried to do this as basic as possible so that it's most realistic for you. Follow along and we'll start taking off the box, and then we'll unfold the spreader and go from there. First thing you're going to want to do is get your spreader into a spot where you can work. So that may be out in your driveway, it may be in your workshop, whatever it might be. You can use vice grips. I'm going to use needle nose pliers because they're a little more precise. You could use a screwdriver as well. These are all optional tools, and you're going to go in and undo these staples. So I'm just going to use that screwdriver to fold it outward right there. Get a hold of these pliers and pop them out. Keep track of them and then just make sure you can dispose of them in a safe manner. So I'm going to go up on top, and then I'm going to come around. Okay, that one. There we go. Like so, and then just discard them because you don't need them anymore. Now that we've got the box kind of disassembled there on the bottom, I'm going to take this upward if I can. Carefully, and just fold it back. Now that naturally popped the staples out of the back. You could have taken those out by yourself, it doesn't matter. So now that we've got that undone, you've got the hitch, which is sitting on top of the top dresser, which is upside down. What I'm going to do is use the cutting end of these needle nose pliers and just pop those zip ties off. Same thing on the back. Here we go. Zip ties again are done. Throw them away. Now your hitch is pretty easy to remove. I'm just going to lift straight up. This packaging material I'm going to throw back in the box. I did ask that it be packed with the light material sides. You've also got your owner's manual slipped in here right on top of the belt. So this you're going to set aside with your tools. Make sure you keep track of it. And then from there, I'm going to remove the light material sides. Nice and careful. Look right there, we've got all of our hardware already packaged with those sides. I'm just going to set them to the side. Now, this is the top dresser itself. This is the front end of the top dresser, which already has the hardware in it to mount the hitch. That's the back end. We're going to find a safe way to rotate this so that we're comfortable with it, and then from there we can install the hitch. So now that I've got the box and the hitch separated, I'm actually going to come in here. You can use a couple of different pieces. I'm going to use this 1/4 inch socket right here and go in with my impact. And then undo these screws. These just screw it down to the pallet. That just keeps it from shifting around during transport. You can unscrew those. You could use a couple of different things, but I'm just using this. 4 bolts screws out, back to the side. I'm going to find the safest way that I can lift this comfortably. If you have a lift or something like that, that would be fine. Just make sure that you can control once you get that center of gravity up. So I'm going to lift right here. Just pitch it my way. I go up. Very careful. I'm just lifting by the metering gate, the roller that goes across there, or the bar. Now that I have it in this position, I'm going to pull it my way a little bit. All right. I'll let it down. Let it balance right there. It's helpful if you have a friend on this side to make sure it doesn't toggle that way, but I can see that it's balanced right here, where I'll come over, put it down like so. Once I can roll it, circle it around, bring it in there, and I'm going to prop it on the box for the pallet, and then I'm actually going to take these blocks in Good. I prop it like so. That's going to sit at about level, and that's where you want it to be to mount your hitch. I'm going to show you removing this shield right here just because it's going to be easier to access one of the bolts in underneath. It's pretty simple. There's a bolt right there and a bolt right here that you'll take out. I'm going to use my impact, extension, and socket on the end. Run it in here. This is the 1/2 inch. And remove that bolt as well as the nut holding things on back there. Once I have that out, slide the shield off and set it to the side. Okay, this nut I'm just going to spin back on here, that way I remember where I put it. Then you can take out the nuts on the front. So I'll come in here, up to this one, just back it off. You can always finish it by hand, gives you a little bit more control. There's another one, and another one. Alright, now we can grab the hitch and lay this in position. The hitch is going to go in between on both ends, so I'm going to prop it there. And in. Bottom. The easiest way to do this is to get at least one in position under your control. There we go. And then the second one, I'm going to mount up top. And then I'm going to prop my others in the other side. I'm doing it in this order because once you have one in position, it kind of tends to hold the position of the hitch. Just make sure you slide that up evenly, like so. There we go. Once you have all 4 bolts in, they kind of hold the position of the hitch. This one's lifted up in the air right now because it's on the blocks. If you don't have the blocks, it tends to lean down, and then you have to pick this up at the same time you're trying to line these holes up. Much more difficult as opposed to just mounting the hitch. Bottom corner first. Then I'm going to bring my impact in, sneak it in there from the top, and zing that tight. Now we're going to skip this one specifically. I'll bring back to that one later, because of course we need it, but I'm going to jump to the other side. Run 1 and 2. All right, we got those tight. I'm going to come back around, pop this one out. Once you've got all the other bolts and nuts installed, except for this top corner right here, this is the one near the clutch mechanism. You can see kind of the insides of it right there. You're going to wait to put this one in, take this nut back off, slip this shield on in the position that it belongs, and then from there we can tighten this rear one, like so, and slip this front bolt through. It connects everything together. The hitch, the shield, and the frame of the spreader. We'll tighten this back down. Again, impact back on it. And the same thing back. The reason we took the shield off, you might ask, that's more work? Yes, but this bolt in under here is very difficult to access through this side of the shield. Can get to it, but it's very difficult. You usually end up trying to pull this away, and it's just not a good situation. You end up bending something for no reason. Now that we've got that back in place, you can see where you'd engage the clutch right there. Very easy. That would be engaged. It'll drop in and grab the axle and start spinning, or disengaged would be in this position right here. Now that we've got the 65 PT with a hitch on the spreader, like so, we're going to mount the light material sides on the top of the spreader. I'm going to bring these sides back over to here, and then you can just use a pocket knife to take all of the tape and extras off at the top. That's pretty straightforward. Go across like this. That should be very easy. And then I'm going to save the hardware out and discard all of my trash. In this case, I'm collecting it for now back in the box. Because I have a couple of these and I've done this before, I'm going to use this magnetic dish and place the hardware into it. Bag's empty. That's just an easy way to keep the hardware with you. It is magnetic. This hardware is steel, so it's going to stay in there. I'm going to stick this, it won't stick to the stainless sides, it'll stick to the galvanized or the inside of the spreader. So I'm going to leave it there on the inside of the spreader, and then I'm going to take these sides. You'll see two of them are the same. That's going to be your front and your back. They're going to mount in this position. However, there are no holes to mount into here, so I'm going to go with the sides first and mount those. You could also, if it's easier, mount them down on the ground or something and then lift them on as a piece. I'm trying to do this as simple as possible so that you can do it all by hand, one person, not two. I'll drop, these are just screws that you can drop through. Just going to make sure I have these lined up here. I'll go screw from the top to the bottom, and then my little flange nut that's going to go on the bottom of the screw, I'll just go by hand, and I'm just going to take this one tight, finger tight, that way it'll hold it in position. From there, I can grab two more, which is pretty easy. Drop one, two, and I'll, again, finger tight. Same thing up here. All right. And then the last one, which would be 4 per side, is going to go back in the back, right there. Again, just finger tight for now. We don't need to crank on that or get our impact out yet. Then I'll go with this one on the opposing side, like so. All right, remember, just finger tight until we have all 4 in place. I'm gonna come around and grab one of the panels that go in the front of the back. Take this one, and then it's gonna set right in place here. Very easy, very snug. And I'm going to do the same thing here. It's the same hardware all around, which is really convenient. And you'll notice one thing, you're going to have to pull this side up. That's the reason we went finger tight here. That's so that you have a little bit of movement. Pull that up. Tighten it down. Simple and easy. Same thing with the bottom bolt. All right, now the front, which is the last panel. Very easy. Just let that fall into place there. Okay, now I've got all the sides finger tight. Now I'm going to come in with my impact and actually tighten these. 7/16 socket size. You could use a ratchet, in which case that may be all you have available. That's perfectly fine. You just come in like so. And I'm actually loosening. Let me tighten. And tighten them down. And then what I'm doing is I'm actually just holding this one on the inside with my finger. If you need to, you can grab a Phillips head screwdriver to hold that still. I do recommend tightening these very tight. However, that's something that, you know, you just have to hold it from this side and tighten from the bottom side. I'm going to use the impact, which is going to tighten it so fast that it'll kind of avoid the need for that interior screwdriver. Like so. Then I'm going to come along down bottom. And you're going to hit each one nice and tight. There's not a torque spec that these need. I'm just running them till they're tight on the 3rd setting of my impact. So long as they're tight and snug, that should be good. There's no reason for them to be loose, other than if you want to take them back off someday. And the last side, I went around the machine. That way I didn't miss any. All right, nice and tight. So I'm going to take my tools, set them aside. Grab my ratchet out of there. And from here I have solid sides with the light material sides option, a functional 65 PT. If you want to test it out a little bit, you can pick up the hitch, rotate it, come forward, and then it should be nice and tight. See how there's no loose jiggling around, nothing shaking, rattling. As far as that goes, I'm going to go down like so, and I'm actually going to put these blocks beneath the hitch, set it level. That's pretty much the setup of your 65. Now when you go to spread, you are going to want to do two things, of course. One, check to make sure that your gate's open wherever you'd like it to be. If you have it closed into this position, you're going to be spreading about 1/8 of an inch at a time. If you open it all the way up to the widest open position where it's flush with the box, that's going to be roughly 1 inch of application at a time. I recommend either marking a setting on the side here or marking a setting here that you prefer depending on what you're doing. If you're doing a garden row, lawn leveling, or just spreading some compost, figure out what you're comfortable with your specific material, and then mark and remember those settings. Once you've got your gate set, you can check your tire pressure. They should come aired up. However, you can always add some air right here in your valve stems. Your belt will be pre-aligned, so that's already set. If you need to adjust that back here, that's a separate video that you can check into there. The last thing you're going to want to do is engage your spreader right there like that. That's going to allow that clutch to pop and engage and turn the belt. So I'm just going to run this empty by hand. It popped and engaged, and then you can see that the belt is moving according to my movement, which just means that the mechanism in here is driving the belt. That's all we have as far as the setup of the 65 PT. This is, of course, if you get one that's going to be crated, coming on a freight truck. It's pretty simple and straightforward, just a couple of nuts and bolts, but still important enough that you want to have your tools ready and, of course, a little workspace area.